Ever feel like you're constantly denying yourself a little fun? What if I told you spending money on enjoyment could actually help you stick to your budget and without the guilt? This is the idea that we allocate a specific percentage of our take-home pay to guilt-free spending. This isn't about indulgence or splashing out. It's a strategy that's going to allow us to fully live for today while still staying on track for tomorrow. I feel that we're ever being encouraged to save every penny that we earn, and that's going to be the key to financial success. But I really believe that if we cut back too much, that's what causes burnout and these impulsive splurges later on. Have you ever had that feeling of guilt when you buy something small, even though it was well deserved? That's where the idea of allocating a specific percentage of your take-home pay can really help. I like to use the 20% rule. So this is where you're allocating 20% of your take-home pay to your fun and guilt-free spending. I'll cover the other percentages in another video, but it's something along the lines of 65% towards your essential living costs. So that's your housing, energy bills, food. Then you allocate 15% towards your savings and investments. So that's investing for the future. And then the remaining 20% is what you invest in your fun. You get to decide what that looks like, whether it's a night out, a weekend away, or a special gift. You get to decide what you spend that money on. And it doesn't really matter because you've already allocated that money towards it. By allocating specific percentages, it takes away that guilt because you know you've already got your basic living costs covered. You know you're already investing for the future. And then what you've got left over, you can then fully enjoy, and you don't have that guilt about whether you should be spending it. It will also help you budget as well. So if you're planning a weekend away, for example, you know exactly what you've got to spend for that weekend. It's not like you're just going into it and having a bit of a rough idea and then feeling guilty afterwards where you're like, oh, now I'm going to have to pay this back, or I'm going to have to put it onto a credit card because I can't afford it all in one go. You know exactly what you're able to spend because you've already allocated towards it. I also think it boosts happiness because you can enjoy life without being at odds with financial discipline because you have that balance. You already have that calculated. You can enjoy that weekend away without knowing that you're going to derail your budget or go over the top. And when you feel good about your spending, that's when you're more likely to stick to your budget overall. You're more likely to stick to allocating that 15% towards your savings and investments. You're not going to dip into that or spend it on other things. You've got specific targets that you've already set out that you can then allocate towards each of those. The key to starting this is tracking what you're currently doing. So do a bit of an audit over your spending over, say, the last 3 to 6 months. Look at what you're spending on each of these categories. So split it out into your absolute essentials. So things like your housing, energy, food, things that are non-negotiable that you just need for basic living. Then have a look at how much you are saving and investing on a regular basis. I like to use 15% as a rough guide, and then you should have around 20% left over that you can put towards your fun and guilt-free spending. I have a budgeting spreadsheet which will help you calculate this. You can input all of your income, all of your transactions. It will help you to track your savings, investments, debt, anything you want to track. It'll really help. You can check it out using the link in my description. It's on Etsy for as little as £3. You can use your own if you want. You can create your own, but it's already made it for you, so it will save you a lot of time. And I really believe what gets measured gets improved. The more you can track this, the more you can improve it. You can play around with the percentages as well. That's just my rough guide of how I like to allocate my spending, but you can play around and see what works best for you. Once you've got that all tracked and you've got your target percentages, it may not be the same each month, but you've got a rough idea. Then you can start thinking about automating things. So when you get paid, you want to have that specific percentage you've allocated towards savings and investments to go straight out. So with you, that's going into multiple places depending on where you're going to invest that money. Some of it might be going into cash, some of it might be going into investments. But have that done automatically so you don't have to think about it each month. If you want to as well, you can then create a separate pot where you then put the money that you've got to spend on fun, guilt-free spending, that kind of thing. As long as you've got a rough idea about how much you've got to spend, that's the key. If we just use a credit card and think, well, we'll deal with this when it comes to paying it, that's when we then fall into the trap of either not having enough money to cover our essentials, or we're then dipping into our saving and investing for the future. I would also advise trying to plan out the month as best you can. So that's not to take away the spontaneity of going out to buy something, but the more you can plan out about what you've got coming out for that month. So if you know what nights out you've got, what social events that you've got, are you planning any trips away? Trying to plan out exactly what you've got coming up means you can have a much better idea about where you can spend. And then just review regularly. Have regular updates. It doesn't need to be every month, maybe every 3 months, every 6 months. Have a look over your previous few months, see where you're spending. Does it still align with your targets, your allocations? Do you need to change some of the targets? How have you been getting on? Once you've got that data, then you can analyze it and you can see where you improve. Remember, enjoying your money is an essential part to a healthy financial life. I hope you found that useful. Let me know if you've got any other ideas in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow.